Hey, you guys, welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you guys are on, and I would love to say hello to you. I'm hoping everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving and got an opportunity to spend some time with your family, got an opportunity to get some much needed rest for those of you that did not have to work. So I pray that everybody found something to be thankful for, because even through it all, even through the hard times, you guys, you have to remember that you are still blessed. So we have to learn to be grateful even when we have little. You know, it's easy to be grateful when you have everything you need. It's easy to be grateful when everything is going well in your life, when you don't have any drama, in your life. It's easy to be grateful, but you have to learn how to be grateful when it's hard. You have to remember how to worship when everything is not quite right in your life, when everything doesn't seem to be going your way. So that's how you grow, that's how you mature, and that's how you show God that you trust Him and that you love Him and that you understand that trouble don't last always, you guys. It seems like it does a lot of times, especially when you're going through it. Trust me, I know I've cried a million crocodile tears about things that God got me through to the other side. So just know that whatever you're going through, if you're dealing with something right now, hey, Miss Lockridge, if you're dealing with something right now, I pray for you. If you're struggling right now, I pray for you. But I want you to understand that trouble don't last always, and God always has a reason for allowing things to happen in your life. So I pray you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I'm not going to hold you long, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I thank you guys for allowing me to change the time. I don't know if y'all have watched the news, the place that I'm working right now. We've had a horrible cyber attack. So we have had to go all the way back to doing paper everything. And it's a shock for most people. I remember doing paper, but it was hard. So it's been a challenge, and in the beginning I was frustrated, I was mad, but through it all, God is even allowing me today, even though it was busy, a little bit crazy, He has allowed me to develop a rhythm even in the chaos. So you just have to trust God and know that God is on your side. Hey, Carol, good to see you. So let's talk about our topic today. Our topic is looking in all the wrong places, you guys. Any of us that have gone through some things in our past, we know about looking for things in the wrong places. So as we travel through life, depending on how we were brought up, what we've gone through in our past, our life experiences guide us as to how we look for things and where we go for comfort, where we go for encouragement. So sometimes if our experiences haven't always been so great, it can leave us with some empty places that we're always looking to be filled. Sometimes it's just a matter of a lack of a two-parent household. All of us didn't live in a two-parent household. We're the product of divorce. Some were single parents anyway. Hey, Rita. And so, when you are a product of either one of those, sometimes you miss out on some things, as a child, simply because your mom can't do it all, your dad can't do it all, and somebody's got to work. So a lot of times you miss out on some of the things that you need. And I think we talked about that last time. You do the best that you can, but when you're a single parent, you have got to make sure you have a roof over your head, you have food in those kids' mouths, you have a way to go. So a lot of times you sacrifice some of the more important things that's gonna help them later on because you're trying to meet their basic needs. And that's just how it is, as a single parent. There's nothing perfect about that. Same thing with divorced household. One parent can't do it all. So with a series of negative things or bad experiences, you can also be left. You can be brought up in the two-parent household, best upbringing in the world. You get out in the world, get exposed to some things, get to running with the wrong people, make some bad decisions. You can also end up with holes in your life that need to be filled. And there are 7 things that most people search for their whole life, and something that we all need. Number 1 is hope. Number 2 is peace. Number 3 is comfort. Number 4 is companionship. Number 5 is acceptance. Number 6 is affirmation and encouragement. And number 7, last but not least, we all need love. And sometimes we seek fulfillment in all those places, in the wrong places, you guys. And I know I'm not the only one that have made that mistake, getting pulled into something that wasn't good for me because I was needing something and I needed something filled in my life. And while there's nothing wrong with searching for these 7 things, you have to be careful about finding those things in the wrong places. So that's what we want to talk about today. So let's start with hope, our trust. Hope is to want something to happen in your life, something to be true, to be excited about something, to have a positive expectation. But when your hope is in the wrong places, you put your hope in things that don't have the power to save us or to even make our situation better. You're setting yourself up for disappointment. Number 1, when you put your hope in man. A lot of times we forget that man is just flesh and blood. They're human just like you are. They're opinionated. They have flaws. Sometimes they give the worst advice without having wisdom, knowledge, or even understanding. And a lot of times you see this in the church, and sometimes people get mesmerized by, say, the pastor or the deacons or somebody that speaks eloquently. They put them up on these pedestals and they put their hope and their trust in those people, and they forget that they're human. And then when they fall from grace, or they do something shisty, or they do something, that appalls you, you're hurt, you're just sick about it. But you shouldn't have put them up on a pedestal anyway. That's why you don't put your hope in man. It even says that in the Bible, do not put your hope in man. Because one thing about men, they're fickle. They change their mind. And when I say men, I mean men and women, y'all. We're fickle. We change our mind. We change our loyalty, our interest, and even our affections. In other words, man will change how they feel about you or feel about what they're doing if the situation does not profit or suit them or suit their needs. So you have to understand, you cannot put all of your hope in another person, because that person is human. And then number 2, don't put your hope in kindness. A lot of times we think because we're kind to people, it's nice to hope that people will always be kind to you, but we have to not be naive enough to believe that, just because I'm nice, that bad things are not going to happen, that people aren't going to try to misuse you, or people are not going to lie on you, people are not going to try to cheat you. You have to be realistic about what you're dealing with. Man is just man, you guys. So don't put your hope in the fact that you're kind. Kindness is one of those things that's a blessing. When somebody's kind to you, that's why it's so important to be grateful, because they don't have to be. And that's one thing I've always tried to teach my kids. I said, always say please, always say thank you, because nobody has to do anything for you. So understand that kindness is not owed to you. That's a blessing from God when somebody's kind to you. And so therefore, us good-hearted people don't end up walking around getting our heart broken all the time. All you can do is be good to people and pray that they'll treat you the same. And if they don't take it too hard. Just understand that people do people stuff. Everybody's got their issues. Number 3, don't put too much hope and trust in your own abilities. You know, sometimes we can be good at something and you know what, we'll just get the big head about it and think that, you know, nothing can touch us, and then life changes, we change, a situation changes. And then maybe you're not as good anymore. Maybe you can't do that thing anymore. And then you get down and you get depressed and you get sad because you can't do some of the things that you used to do. Don't put your hope in your own abilities. You have to put your hope in God, because you may be strong today and something may happen to you tomorrow. So don't put all your hope and your trust in your own abilities. Be thankful for them. Praise God for them. And ask God to bless and keep you. But don't get all caught up in yourself, because things change, you guys. Number 4, don't put your hope and your trust in loyalty. Like I said before, a lot of times you can be faithful to somebody. You can be faithful to a place of employment. You can be faithful to a situation and things still not work out. You still get replaced. You still get laid off. You still get mistreated. So don't put all your hope in the fact that you're loyal. You know, loyalty is part of your characteristic. Nobody owes you anything for being loyal. So don't put all your hope in that. God will reward you for your faithfulness and for your loyalty. Man may not. So be careful about putting all your hope in your own loyalty. Another place that you shouldn't put all your hope is in your money. You know, things change, you guys. We're seeing it right now. You know, just the economy changing, how things are more expensive. Our money is not stretching as far as it used to. Go to the grocery store. You'll know what I'm talking about, how that grocery sack is lighter, but it costs more. So understand, don't get your confidence in there. Don't put your hope and your trust in your money. You know, the Bible talks about how we need to learn how to abase and how to abound and be content in that. That means you need to learn how to be grateful with a little bit, and you need to learn how to be grateful with a lot. And you also need to know how to be responsible when you only have a little bit. That takes wisdom to make a little bit stretch and turn into a lot. It's easy to make a lot into a little, but it's hard to make a little into a lot. That's where that wisdom and that knowledge and that understanding comes from. And the Bible even talks about the love of money and how it can become your master and how you shouldn't serve two masters. So don't get all confident and get all your hope and trust in the fact that you have money today. That can change tomorrow. Money comes and money goes. Like I said before, you have to learn how to be content with a little and be content with a lot. Because we know about investments, stocks rise and fall. You know, things change. The economy changes. You know, what's affordable today may be a burden to you tomorrow. So don't put all your hope and trust in money, you guys. The third thing that you shouldn't put all your hope and trust in is this world system. You know, there's no stability in the world that we live in. Daily, unexpected things are happening all around us, you guys. So don't put your hope in what you see on TV or what you see on social media. You better get a firm foundation and put your hope in God, because the world changes on a dime. What's popular today will be out of style tomorrow. What's good today will be bad tomorrow. So don't put your hope in the world system. And remember that your protection lies in God, God's sovereignty, not in your current situation. And like I said before, don't allow the world to build up your hope, you know, because a lot of times things are not as they're being presented. And number 4, we have to understand that this world is constantly on the verge of chaos or war and civil unrest. So we don't want to put our hope in that. That's why it's very important that when you're watching these things and seeing these things happen, you know your limit. I had to learn my limit, you guys, when it came to watching the news, because it was really starting to pull on my spirit, because I was like, you know, there's nothing good happening. Every time I turn around, it's death, it's destruction, it's mayhem. You have to learn how to pull away from that and get you some quiet time and turn those things off. Get in your word. Ask God to help you so that you don't end up under a cloud of depression or feeling defeated. Because God doesn't want us to walk around defeated. He said he sent Jesus so that we may have life and have it more abundantly. We're supposed to be conquerors. God did not send Jesus for us to walk around with this cloud of gloom and doom over our heads. So learn your limits when it comes to watching the news and things on social media, and protect your spirit, you guys. Sometimes it's better to turn those things off for a while and allow yourself to get strong and find your joy and your peace again, and just deal with it in little bits at a time. Now, the second thing that we often look for, sometimes in the wrong places, is our peace, which is basically our joy and our happiness. In the wrong places would be in the hands of other people. That's number one. You cannot put your peace in the hands of somebody else. I notice on social media it's real popular to say, I want somebody, a companion that's going to be my peace. But nobody can be your peace but God. Nobody can. I understand you not wanting somebody to bring chaos in your life, but nobody can bring you peace but God. So we need to be careful about the things we're saying and how we say it, and recognize that God is the owner of our peace. God is the owner of our joy and our happiness. And another person, they can't handle that. They're busy trying to keep their own peace, so they can't handle your stuff and their stuff. So don't try to put that on them, that responsibility. That's between you and God, to find your peace, to find your joy, to find your happy place. Don't make that somebody else's burden, because they're not going to be able to fulfill that for you. Number two, another wrong place is placing more emphasis on outer peace than on inner peace. Because one thing I'm learning about life, if you don't have peace within, you're not going to even have peace on the outside. You won't even know what to do with peace on the outside. And the reason I know that, I experienced that in a relationship myself. When you are connected with somebody that doesn't know what it's like to have inner peace, they're always waiting for that next thing to happen around the corner, that person is very uncomfortable with peace, and they tend to do things to disrupt peace. I was in relationships like that, toxic relationships with people that didn't know what peace was. So when things got peaceful, it's like they were not satisfied unless they stirred things up. So that's why you have to not put more emphasis on outer peace than inner peace, because when you have peace within, things don't bother you like they used to. Hey, Kinsley, when you have inner peace, you don't have to respond to everything somebody says to you. When you have inner peace, you can let a lot of things, just roll over your shoulder, and you can keep things on an even keel without making a situation worse. So it's very important that you have inner peace if you're going to have outer peace. It's very important that you put more emphasis on getting that right in your life. Number three, the third place that we mess up when it comes to looking for our peace, is thinking that being by yourself or staying secluded or staying away from people. You can do that for so long, but God created us to be relational people. God gave us that desire to want to be around other people, to talk with other people, to laugh with other people, to embrace other people. And when you seclude yourself, all you do is give yourself more time to get in your head, and the enemy to get in your head as well. So when you withdraw from everybody thinking, you know what, I just want my peace, I'm not going to fool with nobody, you're going to become lonely, you're going to become sad, and the enemy is going to start playing with your mind. So you make a mistake when you search for your peace by secluding yourself from everybody. Number four, another place that's the wrong place for you to look for peace is in the midst of dysfunction or chaos. You cannot convince dysfunctional people that they're wrong. Stop trying to create peace in a situation where nobody wants to change. Some people just like drama, you guys. Some people get excited by drama. I was in relationships with people that liked crazy women. They liked fighting. They liked all that arguing and clowning. So some people, that's just who they are. And the more I tried to make that a peaceful situation, the more chaotic it got. Because I had to learn that you can't change anybody. People don't change until they hurt themselves. That's one thing I learned. Long as they're not hurting themselves, they think they don't have to change. But when it starts hurting them or starts affecting them in a negative way, oh yeah, they're ready to do something different because they can't normally take what they dish out. So don't try to find peace in the midst of dysfunction and chaos. Get away from that situation so you can get your peace back. Number 5, don't try to find peace in alcohol, you guys, or any type of drug, because you know what? Whatever you're running from, whatever you're dulling the pain from, whatever you're removing your mind from, when you sober up, it's going to be right there waiting for you. And a lot of times just using those things is going to make the situation worse, because sometimes you do other things, you know, to make a situation, a bad situation, even worse when you're not in your right mind, when you're not in control of yourself. So it's really not worth it, because all you're doing is delaying the inevitable, or either you're making a situation worse than it already was. Number 6, you can't find peace in running away from your problems. You know, I said it before. I said, you know, what you don't confront, you will always have to deal with, you guys. And that's even in relationships. I've had to understand that about myself. Sometimes I'm just too freaking nice. And I look on my timeline and I'm looking at y'all. All y'all got that same problem as I do. We have good hearts, you guys. We're nice. We just want to be at peace. We want to just enjoy things. We don't want no problem. But you know what? Sometimes God allows situations to come so you will stand up for yourself. So you will activate that inner warrior inside of yourself and let people know, no, that's not tolerated. No, you're not going to do that with me. But sometimes we are so nice and so much a people pleaser that we will suffer in silence, and we'll take people's bad behavior, and all the while it's hurting us inside. Sometimes we'll even smile, you know, and act like it's not anything. But you're running away from the problem, and you're never going to be at peace until you confront the situation. And I'm learning that do not fall in love with anything that you're willing to tolerate just anyway, just to have it, to be treated anyway, to be dealt with anyway, to be, you know, just manipulated in any way. Nothing is that important. You have to prioritize yourself and understand that people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. And you have to confront a problem, even if it means losing that person. Don't be afraid to lose, because if you lose somebody, then they weren't meant to be there anyway. Because anybody that's supposed to be in your life that God sent, they're not going nowhere. And if they do go somewhere, it'll be in God's time, and it'll be the right way. It won't be out of animosity or leave you, you know, more hurt than you were when they came into the situation. Number 7, sometimes we try to find our peace in not talking about it. You know, we try to not communicate about something, saying, you know what, if I don't talk about it, then it won't hurt as bad. Or if I don't talk about it, maybe it'll just go away. That is not it. Same thing I said before. You're running away by being silent and not communicating and not opening your mouth about what's bothering you, opening your mouth about, you know, what's not right in a situation. You deserve to have the best, but you got to believe that. And once you really believe that, and once you understand how important your peace is, you won't allow any and everything to just happen to you. You will stand up for yourself. The third thing that we often look for in all the wrong places is comfort. You know, everybody wants to be comforted. I don't know too many people that don't want to be loved and want to be comforted and want to feel safe. You know, comfort is that safeness. Comfort is that everything's going to be all right type of feeling. And everybody wants that. You know, that's why a lot of times, you know, even if people don't have human companions, they have animals, because they just need somebody to rub, somebody to lay across their lap, somebody, you know, to show them, you know, some affection. So we look for comfort, but we have to be careful about finding it in the wrong places. Number one, in the bed or the arms of the wrong person. And I'm not even going to ask y'all to raise your hands on that, but I'll raise mine for you. I have found comfort, or tried to, in the arms of the wrong person, in the life of the wrong person. Simply because when you haven't had something, or when you're in need of something, sometimes you get blinders on. Sometimes you're just so tired of being alone, or you're afraid of being alone, and you'll put these blinders on. God will show you all kinds of red flags, and we'll ignore it, or we'll make excuses about it, or we'll find a way to, you know, kind of laugh it off like it's not that serious. But counterfeits are everywhere, you guys. So we have to be careful about allowing our loneliness or allowing our fear to put us in the arms or even in the bed of the wrong people looking for comfort, because at the end of the day, you won't be comforted. You'll always be knowing in your spirit that there was something better. I shouldn't have done this, or I should have waited, or I can tell he's not the one, or she's not the one. You feel that in your spirit, even when you're going through that thing with them. Something in you just tells you this is not it. But it just depends on your situation. Sometimes we stay just out of loneliness. Number two, we talked about this a minute ago. Don't try to find comfort in numbing yourself with drugs or alcohol. Because like I say, it doesn't solve anything. It doesn't change your situation, and it's temporary. Number three, don't find comfort in material things. You know, sometimes people get so comfortable, you know, with a lifestyle, and then say they lose a job and can't find a job that pays as much, and they have to start giving up some of those things. So just understand, it's nice to have expensive things, and it's nice to live at a certain level, but don't get too comfortable with that. Make sure that you understand it's just stuff. It's just material things. Don't worship it. Don't idolize it, because you may have to change. You may have to downsize. You know, I'm seeing a lot of people here just in Tyler who have had these big, huge houses, and just with the change in the economy, you know, just when COVID hit, you know, just trying to recover from that, people are downsizing. They're selling those big houses and they're getting something smaller. People are getting condos or getting rid of, you know, 5-bedroom houses and reducing down to 2-bedroom houses. You have to be able to adjust. So don't get too comfortable with what you have, because things will change. And number 4, don't get too comfortable with things being easy all the time. You know, easy doesn't challenge you. Easy doesn't make you grow. So don't get comfortable and set into that, because sometimes that's the wrong place, because God may be trying to stretch you. And I think he's been stretching me and you, Rashida, this week with all the stuff we've been going through. God is stretching us to understand that there's more inside of us than we think. There's more inside of us that we haven't tapped into. Because I can honestly say there were times this week at work where I was tearing up because everything was coming at me, people calling my name. Nothing was working, can't access anything. Patients were calling, leaving multiple messages, and I just felt overwhelmed. And then God had to say to me, you got this. And Rashida, I appreciate you. I love you for sending me a message yesterday. You said, we got this. And when I tell you I went to bed in comfort, when I tell you when I woke up today, I woke up with a plan. And when I tell you Even in chaos, I said this in the beginning, God gave me a rhythm. God gave me a rhythm. And even with everybody running around everywhere, God gave me a rhythm. I got things so organized today that I shocked myself. But that was God trying to show me there was more in me than what was going on. You know, God always says if he be for you, he's more than the world against you. Sometimes that flesh won't let you see it initially, but then God, if you just keep trusting God, if you keep praying, you keep calling on God and say, God, you got to help me do this today. And that's what I'm learning to do every day. God, help me do this today, because we don't know what we're going to face. So therefore, when you put God in it, he's more than the world against you. He's more than that situation against you. He's more than that thing that's exploding around you. He's more than that. And so he's going to come through and he's going to help you tap into what you need to get things done the way they're supposed to be done. And then let's not put our comfort in appearances. You know, a lot of times people like to have a status. They like to have, you know, an appearance for the public. You know, I was in a relationship where everything was about appearances, you guys. I was catching hell at home. But everything in public, it was about appearances. We dressed alike, you know, same colors. Kids had to look right, you know, photos had to look right, all of that, and secretly going through hell in my own house. So don't get comfortable in appearances, and don't get comfortable in trying to impress people. That's another thing. People get bored easily, you guys. They might be on you today and talking about how good you're doing today, but they're going to forget about you eventually. So don't get too comfortable in trying to impress people with appearances. Be who you are. Be real. Get your stuff right at home. Don't be out here pretending like you got it going on and your house be all messed up and toe up. Get it together and stop taking comfort in just the appearance, the facade that you can put out there. Do the work. Get it right at home. That way, what they see is really what they get. And then don't take comfort, number 6, in people not knowing your secret sins. Because one thing about it, you know, people can front like they want to and act like they the best Christian in the world. We all have secrets. We've all made mistakes. And while you can fool other people all the time, you can't fool God none of the time. So don't get comfortable in the fact that people don't know your dirt. God will expose you if you don't get that stuff together. So the next thing that we often look for and we find in the wrong places sometimes, like I said before, companionship. And my own story, number 1, getting into relationship with people who are proven to be toxic. I have been in relationships with men that had a reputation or a history of being in toxic relationship. You know, everybody has a story to tell. You know, there's 3 sides to every story. His, hers, and then there's the truth. You know, everybody that is trying to be in a relationship with you going to tell you their side of the story. So you never get to hear the other side of the story. And everybody's got an excuse for what you've heard in the street. So understand that. If somebody's proven in their past to be toxic, be wary of that. Because even if they weren't the toxic person in the relationship, that residue is still on them. If they haven't spent some time by themselves and gotten healed from that toxic stuff they've been dealing with, they're going to bring that residue into that relationship with you. Hey, Christia, they're going to bring that in. So understand, we have to be careful about looking for companionship in all the wrong places. Number 2, connecting with people for the wrong reason. Companionship just to come up financially, financial gain. Connecting with people just because the sex is good. You know, a lot of times people do that, and then once the attraction wears off or the lust wears off, they realize they don't even like that person. They don't even understand why they're in the relationship with that person. So that happens to a lot of people because you're looking for companionship, but you're not taking the time to really get to know who you're dealing with. And we talked about that before too, when we talked about intimacy and how it's important to spend time with people and know who they really are before you give yourself and your time and your energy to them. You know, because sometimes we connect with people out of greed, out of loneliness, out of fear. And like I say, sometimes it's just pure and simple lust. I don't know if y'all have done that, but I've done that. I've never gotten with somebody out of financial gain, but I've gone into relationships out of fear, out of loneliness, out of lust. I just never had the greed or the money thing about me, and I thank God for that. But I've still made mistakes because I connected with them for the wrong reason. And the next one is believing that a piece of someone is better than having a whole someone. You know, we're living in a time now where it's popular and almost applauded for people to have a side chick or a side dude or a sneaky link or, you know, whatever. You know, that's become so popular now that people don't even frown at it. But I am one of those women. I'm not sharing you with anybody, not knowingly, because simply there is no way for you to piece yourself off and give everybody what they need. So why even bother if you're going to get somebody's crumbs, if you're going to get somebody's leftovers? So you have to be careful about who you seek companionship with. And when you're dealing with somebody that is their pattern, that's what they always do, until God changes them, you're just going to be part of that whole thing. So be careful who you connect to and seek companionship from. Number 4, connecting with people who think just like you or look just like you. You know, a lot of times we'll get in relationships with people and it's not even about their character. It's just because they look good or they look like me or they like the same things I like. But you have got to open your eyes. That may not be the person that's for you. God may have somebody for you that looks nothing like you, that acts nothing like you, that's from a totally different culture than you. And a lot of times we miss out on God's best by settling just because it's familiar. Oh, I'm used to people like this. Oh, I'm used to being around this. I'm used to people that are from here. You know, sometimes that's the wrong place to be looking for companionship. That's why you need to pray to God that He sends what He sees fit instead of what you see fit into your life. And that's even with friends. You know, a lot of times we connect with people that look like us and think just like us, and then we wonder why we're stuck in a rut. We wonder why we're not growing. We wonder why we have some of the negative opinions and ideas that we have. It's because you're not willing to look past what you need to look past and understand that we need to judge people on their character, not how they look or the ethnicity or you know, the comfort level that you have. Sometimes it's worth getting uncomfortable to have something new and something exciting in your life. But you have to be open to that. Number 5, connecting with people who have the same struggle or bad habits that you do. How are you going to get better if you always in relationships with people that do the same wrong stuff that you do? Stuff that you say you're not going to do anymore. Oh, I know I need to quit doing this. Why do we connect ourselves with friends or with relationships and those people have the same bad habits? You lie, he lied. You cheat, he cheat. You know, why are you connecting yourself with people when both of y'all need to stay separate and need to get healed? But sometimes we'll connect with the same type of people that have the same struggle and the same bad habits that we do and wonder why we're always in the middle of drama. We bring it on ourselves. And number 6, A lot of times, people tend to look for companionship and on the wrong places by putting their hope in the other person too much. You know, I've seen the couples that have been married 30, 40, 50 years. When one person dies, the spouse dies, less than a year later, the wife may die. It's because she gives up hope, because she put everything she had into that person and didn't realize that she could have a life without them. Yes, you'll miss them, but God didn't intend for you to just give up your life just because someone that you had been in a relationship dies. And sometimes people get so lost in that and they forget, you know, that God gives us people for a season, not for a lifetime. You know, it's God's decision when he takes somebody away from us, but you don't stop living just because of it. Number 7, we have to understand that we'll outgrow people, and your feelings will change sometimes, and they're not guaranteed to stay the same. So a lot of times people look for companionship in people that they feel like won't leave them, not simply because they're the best person for them. They just feel like that person needs them enough that they're not going to go anywhere. You know, sometimes there's not even any love there. It's just the fact that you're codependent on that other person. You need them for something, they need you for something, and now you're in this relationship and neither one of you are happy. That's because you're looking for a companionship in all the wrong places. And number 8, looking for a companionship with people who refuse or admit that they have a problem and that refuse to deal with their own issues. And they just expect you to accept it and just put up with it, even if it hurts you. That's the wrong place to look for companionship. Number 9, looking for a companionship with abusive people. Abusive people don't know how to be your companion. Abusive people look for someone weaker to pick on. They look for somebody weaker to bully. It's nothing about companionship. They don't respect you as equal. They just need somebody that makes them feel better to mistreat that person, because somewhere deep inside it makes them feel better about themselves. So you're never going to have companionship with anybody that's abusive towards you. Number 10, people who refuse to allow you to be your authentic self. You know, I went through that as well, where you had to watch what you say, watch what you do, this, that, and the other, because you'll make them mad and you'll have to hear about it later. You'll be up all night arguing about something. That's not true companionship. God doesn't want that for you, because that person wants you to be exactly what they say you should be and nothing more. And that's not how God wants us to be. God wants you to be free, to be happy, to have joy in a relationship. So that's not the companionship God would have for you. That's bondage. And you have to know the difference. And number 11, the next place you should not find companionship is in people who stunt your growth. If every time you come up with an idea or every time you want to do something different, they shoot you down or they belittle you and make you feel less than and make you change your mind about doing things, that person is not for you, and you should not be connecting yourself with them, because they don't want you to grow or outgrow them. So they have to keep you beneath them or at their level. So that person is not for you. Now, number 5, another place we tend to look for things in all the wrong places is for acceptance. You know, when you have not been one of those children that was, you know, spoken to or told that they could do anything, or made to feel like they were part of the family, you know, especially now with these blended families, you guys, it's so hard on these kids, because sometimes people will treat one child, simply because of who their parent is, different from the other, and they're all in the same family, and that's not really fair, because that child somewhere on the inside is going to feel inadequate, and they're going to be looking for acceptance in their adult life, because they never had it or never felt like they had it as children. So that's why we have to be so careful about how we're treating our children, whether they be your blood, whether they be, the child of somebody you don't like. A child is a child is a child, and they should all be treated equally, and they should all be shown love and shown affection and made to feel like they're part of the family. And if you're not doing that, shame on you, because I know what that's like growing up, having people mistreat you or make you feel like an outsider, or having favorites in the family. It leaves you as an adult wanting everybody to accept you, everybody to like you, and you become a people pleaser. And for most of my life, I was a people pleaser until God showed me that that was not where I was supposed to be. So don't look for acceptance from people who don't value you and they see you as less than, or see you as an option, not the prize. Ladies, I'm going to say this to you because I see this happening to you guys so much. Sometimes it seems like we're switching up roles. The men are supposed to chase us. The men are supposed to, court us, pursue us, show us that they really are interested in us. And a lot of times men are sitting back and they're weighing their options. And as long as you allow them to treat you like an option, that's all you'll be. That's all you be, is an option. You have to let people know, no, that's okay. I see you. You don't have time for me. You've got some other things going on. I'm just going to, move around and hope everything goes well for you. You have to understand that you are not meant to be somebody's option. You are the prize. God talks about the bride, that a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. You're not an option unless you allow yourself to be one. So when somebody's not treating you right, when they're not communicating with you, when they're ignoring you, when they're finding excuses not to spend time with you, you're an option. And you have to decide that that's not what you want to be. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Christelle. You have to make up your mind, even if it means that you have to spend some time alone. I would rather be alone and loving myself than to be with somebody that does not value me, or somebody that treats me like, oh, they can replace me tomorrow. That's a horrible feeling. So don't allow yourself. And men, I know that happens to you too, because a lot of these women got 4 and 5 men that they're talking to at the same time. So I'm not leaving you out. All I can do is speak from my experience as a woman. That's a terrible place to be. And then number 2, don't look for acceptance from people that don't truly love you. You have to ask God to really show you people's hearts, because the word love gets thrown around so easy, y'all. But love is not something you say. Love is what you do. If you love me, you're not going to treat me a certain way. If you love me, you're going to make sure I don't get hurt. If you love me, you're going to be honest with me. If you love me, you're going to respect me. So don't allow people to throw that word love out if they're not showing you that. So don't look for acceptance from people that don't truly love you, because they'll never accept you. Not fully, because they don't really love you anyway. Number 3, don't expect acceptance from people who need you. People who need you, basically, once you fulfill a need, then, you're not even a thought to them anymore. So stop doing and going and meeting everybody's need, trying to make people like you and accept you. People should like you whether you do something for them or you don't. Don't become a people pleaser like I was, where I wanted everybody to like me and it hurt my feelings when people didn't like me. God had to show me, why do you care? Either you believe me or you don't. Either you believe that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are my workmanship, that you are my handiwork, you are my masterpiece. You have to believe those things about yourself and not wait for other people to accept you. Because a lot of times, the people that you're trying to, impress, the people that you're trying to get to like you, sometimes they don't even like themselves. They're just putting on a facade. So be careful about doing things to make some people accept you, because a lot of times people will let you do things, and in the end, as soon as you don't do it, then they don't like you anymore anyway. So don't put yourself out there like that. Don't be a people pleaser. And don't be afraid to say no. You are not obligated to say yes to everything just so people don't dislike you. You have got to get away from that. We are too grown for that. Start standing up for yourself. You need rest just like everybody else. If you're not feeling it, if it's not something you want to do, then don't do it. And if people don't accept you anymore for that, then you don't need to be around them anyway. Stop expecting acceptance, number 4, from people who are broken. When you're broken, because I was broken, and I still have some pieces God is still trying to put together. When you're broken, you fully don't even accept yourself. All you can see is your broken pieces. So therefore, my vision was clouded because I was broken. You want to allow people to see you for who you really are. And when somebody's broken, as soon as you're not there for them, their opinion of you completely changes. As soon as you're not there to meet their need, to jump when they say they need you. Oh, you know what I've been through. You know what I'm going through. Why weren't you here for me? Sometimes you have to understand that broken people would rather use you as a crutch than get their stuff together and get the healing that they need. And you have to be careful about wanting acceptance so bad that you allow yourself to be an enabler, to be somebody's crutch. Sometimes you're in the way of God. God knew they were broken. Sometimes God is breaking them, and they calling on you to lean on you and trying to get you to fix stuff. But you need to sometimes just get out of the way and let God be God, and let God do with that person what he needs to do. And a lot of times, even with our children, especially with our adult children, it's hard not to want to be in their life and want to be that person that cradles them and keeps things from happening to them. But there's a point in your life when you have to let go and let God and say, God, I trust you with this person. God, I trust you with that person. That person is broken, Lord. Let me get my hands off of it because I'm making that situation worse. A lot of times we're so greedy for acceptance, we don't realize when we're in the way. So God has to sometimes make you move back out of the way. And that way that person can get the healing that they need. Number 5, don't look for acceptance in social circles that are fake, when it's all about showing off and competition and outdoing one another. Don't look for acceptance in there, because you know what? It won't be real. It'll be phony. It'll be circumstantial. It'll be situational. It won't be real. And don't look for acceptance from people who don't truly love themselves, but are very judgmental of you and put very high demands on you, and they don't even love themselves. So don't look for acceptance from that. And then don't look for acceptance, number 7, from people who already have made up their mind about you. One thing life has taught me in all this time, from people that said they loved me, people that just used to always say all this flattering stuff and, oh, you just the best, and a lot of times it was church people. As soon as things hit the fan in my life, as soon as things, got super crazy in my life, those same people were nowhere to be found. All them that just love you to death, they were nowhere to be found. And then you have to ask yourself, why do you care what people think about you when they don't even know you? So be careful about wanting acceptance from people that don't even know you, but they're putting their mouth on you. You have to allow God to defend you. And as you get older and as you gain some wisdom, you learn not to respond to everything. Let your life shut people up. And that's what I've done with my own life. People that, were supposed to be there for you or said they were there for you. And when they see your life, going through something, and then they're the main ones talking about you, don't say nothing. Let your life speak for you, and it'll shut all of that down. But learn to not want acceptance from people that you have to convince that you're not like what they heard or what they said about you wasn't true. If you got to do all of that, it's not even worth it. Let people think what they want to think. We've all got a past. We've all done things that, we may be ashamed of or we wish that we didn't. Quit trying to explain yourself to people. Move on with your life and let your life now speak for you so you don't have to do all of that and try to make everybody accept you. If they want to accept you, fine. If they don't, you have to be willing to move on. Number 6, the 6th place that we look for things in the wrong places is when it comes to somebody being there for you, somebody cheering you on and encouraging you. Everybody can't do that. And sometimes we look for it in the wrong places, and sometimes the wrong places may even be in your friends that you have or the family that you're from. Everybody doesn't know how to do that. You have to be careful, especially number 1, from people who flatter you so they can get next to you. Be careful, because sometimes people are just wanting what you have or wanting the energy that you bring, or they like the crowd that likes to be around you. They like to go to the parties that you like to go to. Sometimes people will flatter you and do all of that just because they want to be in the crowd with you and they want to share some of the blessings that God has put on your life. Number 2, don't expect affirmations and encouragement from people who are selfish or jealous. Superficial people tend to only care about themselves. And if it's not about them, they're not going to encourage you. They're not going to have anything nice to say about you, And number 3, from people who are secretly in competition with you. Sometimes the people around you, sometimes the people in your circle, they're secretly competing with you. So you don't expect them to support you. Don't expect them to encourage you, because you're looking for it in the wrong place. Don't expect encouragement and affirmations from the world. Get your encouragement from God. God has everything you need to pep you up, to get your day started, to help you to understand that you're more than a conqueror. Get your affirmations. Get your words that say who you are. Get those things from God, because like I said before, the world will love you today and they can spit on you tomorrow. So don't get used to people fluffing you up and flattering you all the time, because sometimes those things just dry up and you don't want that to be your lifeline. Number 5, get used to doing things with the right motive, because sometimes people will flatter you and say they're in your corner just because they like your popularity. And sometimes they just want to be seen as well. And I've seen that happen in churches, how, people click up. Y'all know what I'm talking about, them cliques. And sometimes those people don't even like them, but they just like being part of the clique. They like being part of something where, they can kind of look around at everybody else and make other people feel like they don't belong. So be careful about that. The Bible talks about a flattering tongue. Be careful about getting your encouragement from somebody that's always flattering you all the time. Nobody's that good all the time. So be careful about that, because a lot of times people that are always trying to butter you up, a lot of times there's something else behind that. Make sure that they have a good character as well. And don't expect encouragement from people who don't truly love or support you. And number 8, don't expect it from people who don't listen to you or even respect your opinion. You know, how can you encourage me if you don't even know me, if you don't listen to what I'm saying, if you don't respect my opinion? So you have to understand that people that truly know you are the ones that want what's best for you. And that was number 9. At number 7, the 7th thing that we look for in the wrong place is, last but not least, you guys, is love. You know, a lot of times we look for love, number 1, in people who can't or won't love you back. Some people don't really know what love is. They've never felt that. And so when you are allowing them to experience love, they get scared. Some of them get worried. They get nervous, you know, and sometimes they just don't know how to love you back. And sometimes that's why your relationships end. It's not that you're a bad person, they're a bad person. Sometimes they recognize that they just can't love you the way you're supposed to be loved. And that's okay, because that leaves room for God to send the right person in your life and the right person in their life. Number 2, don't expect love from people who don't or have never experienced real love. Like I say, you can't do what you don't know. You can't do what you have never experienced. You know, that takes time to learn that. You can learn how to love somebody, but you have to be willing, and you have to do the work, and you have to humble yourself to be able to love somebody properly. And a lot of times people are not willing to do that. Number 3, those that don't take time to get to know you, because they'll never understand how to love you if they never get to know you. Number 4, people that you try to love out of a place of loneliness. Like I said before, loneliness will get you in so much trouble. It'll make you think that you're in love. It'll make you think a whole lot of things, when a lot of times you're just operating in fear. So don't look for love out of loneliness, you guys. The best thing you can do is learn to love yourself. Learn to love who you are, your life as a single person, and then you can move into a relationship. Make sure that you're whole as a single person. Make sure that you have the joy, the encouragement. You have all 7 of these things before you move into a relationship. Because depending on somebody else to give it to you is going to be a disappointment. Number 5, before you learn to love God, you have to learn to even love yourself. Because you can't even love yourself completely until you learn how to love God. When you truly learn who God is and how much He loves you, even through all your mess, even through all your dirt, even through all your hard-headedness, then you will learn in turn to love yourself, because you understand that God is an amazing God, and I must really be somebody if He can forgive me for all of that. I must really be who He says I am for Him to love me that much. And once you realize God's love, it'll make it easier for you to learn to love yourself and forgive yourself from all of those things that we've done in the past. Hey, Alva. Hey, Pam. You know, so until you learn how to love God, you won't really even learn how to love yourself. Number 6, looking for love in people who will quickly sacrifice the relationship when things don't go right. You know, you've got those people, you know, they like to say ride or die. I don't like to say that. I like to see people that say, I'm in this for the right reason. Ride or die is something they came up with. I ain't trying to go through all that kind of stuff with you, but I'm saying that when somebody loves you, they understand that it's not always going to be peaches and cream. Sometimes you're going to have to go through some rough patches. That's the kind of love that you ought to want. Not somebody that as soon as things get bumpy, they say, I didn't sign up for all of this, and then they're gone. So sometimes we look for love in people that are quick to run when things aren't working out the way that they want it to work out. And number 7, sometimes we look for love in people who have not healed from past pain. And people that have not healed from past pain, they're going to make you pay. When you get in a relationship with them, if they have not healed from the pain from their past, you will be paying for what somebody else did to them in their past. And that's what you don't want, you guys. And my final thought is, as long as we live, we all understand that we need those 7 things. You know, we all need hope. We all need peace. We all need comfort. We need companionship. We need acceptance. We need affirmation, positive affirmations and encouragement. And last but not least, we all need love. And one thing about it, there's nothing wrong with that. The only issue is when we look for those things in the wrong places. And understand that God has put all of that inside of us already. A lot of times we look outwardly for what God has already put in us. You know, God is the only place where all of that can be found. And God has put that inside of us. And God builds us. You know, He created us. So He created us to love and to accept one another, to comfort one another, to be peaceful or seek peace, to be hopeful, and to be kind. And so don't sell yourself short by looking for those things in all the wrong places. The first place you need to look for it is in God. The second place you need to look for it is inside of yourself, because it's in there. God made you that way. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. I hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving. Thank you guys for being patient with my crazy work schedule. And we'll probably be doing 7 o'clock for a little while longer. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. And y'all stay blessed. Take care. Bye.